Hello and welcome to a special edition of Nerdy Thursday. I have my boy Wesker Griff, who in our friend group of collecting is probably the other nerdy collector as me as non-sport. He has shown me the way in collecting autographs in many cases. So yes, we have friends everywhere, and if you know that statement, you know what we're talking about.
Star
Today.
Wars.
We're going to be talking Star Wars and Andor, but a little bit of all Star Wars because there's going to be something coming up in the next year or so that ties this all together. So this Andor took the Star Wars world by fire, didn't it? I mean, it was crazy.
It's got 12 Emmy nominations now. I think it just came out yesterday. Just overall, very much needed, incredibly needed
And
for the
the thing
franchise to have
and,
a great show like this.
right, and also all the people that where's all the action? It was action in it, but it wasn't like this was a lot of mental going on here. This was Ray Bradbury was somewhere going, this sci-fi that I'm talking about, where you're bringing in the outside world into a reflection, kind of what's going on, but not doing it in your face, and letting you be the judge of what's going on. And I really liked the fact that it had, because I like the books, because the books always talk more in depth, of course. So I get to learn more about the bad guys, whoever the bad guys may be, the Empire, the New Empire, the Old Empire, whatever the Empire is at the moment. And this Andor kind of did the same thing with one of your favorite characters, the female. What was her name again?
Dedra Miro.
Yeah, Dedra.
Well, I feel like all the new characters that were in the show were really, really interesting. Something that you don't necessarily see in a Star Wars show. Like Cyril was definitely a character that we don't normally see in Star Wars. Very interesting character. You got more story that you're giving to Andor because we know what happens to him in Rogue One, but then you see more of his backstory. Again, incredibly interesting character, kind of a gray character, but they just knocked it out of the park.
Right.
Like with everything, cinematography, visuals, music,
story,
all the new characters that were inserted, and then even like a character like Mon Mothma, like of her from Return of the Jedi in the movie for like a couple minutes, but then they just expand so much on her character where it's just
she's in Hope
phenomenal storytelling.
Yeah, she's in New Hope where she's standing at the counter telling about all the people that lost their lives to get the first plans. But how they tied it together, really enjoyed it. And I mean, this isn't new. If you watch The Acolyte, they do the same thing with those characters, man. That's the way you feel about Andor is the way I'm feeling about that show, where more dark side, more telling you why people are the way they are. It's not just very the characters are more fleshed out, more gray, as you mentioned. I'm glad you brought that up, because I talk about gray a lot. In books, they do have gray Jedi, because it's almost impossible to do good without bad. I mean, Windu is literally a gray Jedi. He's not. He will kill somebody. He will take a head to make sure that bad person isn't around. So sometimes you got to do bad to do good, have good. So that would be considered a gray, if we don't know what a gray is, or in a Jedi world, getting married, falling in love, which a lot of them did. They just did it quietly. If you get more in depth with the stories, but man, that we waited a while for season 2 for Andor to come out. Did you go back and watch season 1 again before it came out, or?
I did, yeah. I went back and watched season 1 for anticipation for season 2, and I think it just holds up really well.
Yes.
Honestly, those 2 seasons remind me a lot of like the early seasons of Game of Thrones, where
Mm-hmm.
like they set the foundation pieces
Mm-hmm.
throughout the season, and then like around like for Game of Thrones around like episode 8 or 9, because that Game of Thrones was always a 10 episode
Mm-hmm.
episodic season, and you just get these big payoff episodes where like everything comes together, and
Right.
then the final episode you get like the repercussions and the fallout. I feel like they kind of followed that model a little bit in Andor for season 1 and season 2. The cool thing with season 2 for Andor was I like how they did the time jumps,
Mm-hmm.
because every 3 episodes was a year counting down to what's eventually, I think, a couple hours before Rogue One, and then obviously a couple more hours after the end of Rogue One goes into A New Hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that man. And if I just want to, why I made the face the way I did, uh, Mr. Westgriff here is a huge Game of Thrones fan, and for him to compare anything to Game of Thrones is huge. So that's it perked up, and it correct on that, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. Because I have been catching up on Bad Batch right now. I'm almost done with the last season, and I don't know. Do you watch the cartoon? Some people, grown people,
yeah,
don't watch cartoons.
I liked Bad Batch. I thought Bad Batch was really good. I think they do a great job on all the animated shows.
Because
Clone Wars season 7, I think, was the other one that's
yeah,
been a
but
recent
all
one.
the Clone Wars. So Clone Wars was on Cartoon Network, and so a lot of grown-ups shied away from it, not knowing that how much of a big issue it is to knowing what's going on in Boba Fett, in the Mandalorian, Ahsoka. Like, I tell my friends, if you want to know what about the dark saber, you need to watch
Clone
Clone
Wars.
Wars, and you need to watch Rebels. It's in both of them. The whole thing of it is in Rebel. It's in both of them. So how it gets to where it gets to, Moff Gideon, and just it's I Bad Batch to me is one of the best. If they made that into a movie, that would probably be my second favorite movie. I was a huge Rebels fan too, but if y'all wonder what my favorite movie is, it's Empire Strikes Back, because I'm 53 years old. I was lucky enough to see all the movies in the movie theater at release before IG, whatever how they redid them. So I really love them. But outside of Andor, you said you like Bad Batch, which how do you Mandalorian, Fett, and Ahsoka? How do you like those, and how they tied those 3 shows together?
I like the way Mandalorian started out with the first 2 seasons, but like I wasn't as crazy over season 3. I feel like it kind of dragged a little bit. Um Ahsoka I thought was pretty good. It started off good. The new characters that they introduced, Balin Skull and Shin Hate, I thought were really interesting. And then obviously bringing the Rebels crew to live action, I thought was pretty cool. But I feel like generally a lot of those shows, they kind of like struggling a little bit. I feel from a storytelling perspective, because I feel like they're trying really hard, especially with Ahsoka, to try to tie in the mess that is the sequels for it
Yes,
to make any continuity sense.
right,
And I just feel like that's a losing battle,
right,
because it's just the sequels are just such a mess story
right.
wise.
Well, let's look at that for a minute, and I'm going to spoiler alerts for if you haven't seen the sequels or anything we're talking about, but that's might be a reason to go watch it. So in the last 3, we have the clone Palpatine, and then you got the messed up clone running things until he gets killed. Uh, It just wasn't put together very
Their
well. Now they're trying to tie it all together, even with Bad Batch with Omega.
Yeah.
And the clone and the Young Jedi
Project Necromancer.
Right. They even call it that in the cartoon Project Necromancer. And right there you're like, oh, and then Grogu is tied into with all of that.
But then they have in the video game, in the one video game Battlefield, they have like that whole Operation Cinder.
Yeah, Cinder.
The final order of the Emperor is to destroy all the loyal planets of the Empire.
Right.
So if we knew we were doing this Project Necromancer to bring back the Emperor, why destroy basically your whole entire?
Well, in Cinder
doesn't make any sense.
And Cinder is also, he uploads his thoughts and his orders into robots to send out the orders. If you read the books, I'm reading the last, what is it? It's a trilogy. Anyway, it's tied into a comic book series too. I'm just reading the books at the moment. It's what I listen to when I go on road trips, so hopefully I'll finish it up here in the next week or two. But yeah, I'm with you. And these are not legacy books. These are the new under Disney Shield books. And, you have to make sure we're not talking legacy like Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, or Timothy Zahn.
Right.
Although they have him now writing canon books.
They're tying those into it. Some legacy books will come over and make sense in this world too.
They're getting good writers. Like they're not getting like average Joes. They're trying to get like good writers.
Well, what they need is
to make it make sense. They try to make it make sense, but it's just such a because they're thinking. They look at it. I feel like a lot of people look at it. I should say. A lot of people bash the prequels. And they're like, well, Clone Wars made the prequels better because you expanded on the characters more, you gave them more depth, you showed the relationships more, and kind of what led up to the decisions of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So a lot of people, and rightfully so, say that the Clone Wars helped expand those movies, made those movies better, the prequel movies better, because you give more perspective. That's what they're trying to do with the sequels now with these shows.
Right.
But the problem is that the prequels had a cohesive story through the three films. It was thought out. It was the problem that people had with the prequels was more so the clunky dialogue and some of the acting gets roasted upon the internet.
Right.
Whereas with the sequels, the acting's not the problem. People like the acting. The actors knocked it out of the park. It's the story doesn't make sense. It's not well thought out. It's just
the third one's horrible.
It's I've only seen it one time. I couldn't.
Me too.
And I'm not watching that movie. Rise of Skywalker.
Yes. Well, that's why they're making a 10th one. They're going to make a 10th one.
So insanely bad. Right. Yeah, but I don't think they are going to. They're trying to make a 10th one, but like they're not going to spend $350 million on a movie if it's not going to make no money.
Right.
Who wants to see that movie?
I
don't want to see it.
I don't want. Take a left. And I've said it before. I would love for them to go back in time. They've started a series now, Old Republic. Where
that's what I think they should do as well.
Before the Sith are known. So it's the Nile, whatever, which preludes the Sith.
Star Wars is huge. The universe is gigantic. You don't have to focus on this 60-year period where you got thousands of years to do something.
Right.
So I think they're better off just cutting it loose, picking a different era, and going from there.
Yeah.
With new characters.
The Acolyte's kind of going in that Old Republic. That is the older. The Acolyte is in the. That's because it's still a Sith.
I know you like that. I know you like that show, but like, Acolyte got destroyed.
I know, and it wasn't supposed to have season 2, but they're having a season 2 now.
And I don't think they are going to do a season 2 just because of how bad the backlash was, and also critically it didn't.
They just announced it like 2 weeks ago.
They did? I didn't see
Yeah.
anything. I
Yeah.
didn't see anything about that.
Yeah.
But the problem that a lot of people had with that show was, again, canonical issues or continuation issues, because it's supposed to take place before the Phantom Menace. I think it takes place like 30 years before the Phantom Menace. And they're talking about Sith Lords, but then in the Phantom Menace, they're completely oblivious to Sith Lords. So like it doesn't.
Well, I thought it was way before Phantom Menace. I have to look it up to see when it's actually supposed to take place.
I think it's like 30 to 60 years before Phantom Menace.
Well, it might lead up to where they think why they get destroyed, all the Sith Lords. I mean, but
because they show Plagueis at the end, I'm pretty sure.
Plagueis, yeah. Because my whole thing with that is, well, when they destroy him, they think they destroyed the last Sith Lord. But anyway, I digress, because my whole thing with all the Star Wars is they know people love the Sith figures, and they sell a lot of product with the Sith, but the rule of two got thrown out the window before it even started. I don't even know why they made it up if they thought they were never going to have the rule of two when they got a secret Sith society out there running around doing things. Each Sith guy has its own, like, I mean, Darth Vader's was on a video game. So if you're familiar with The Force Unleashed, but that to me, Star Wars have never been one to stick with the. They're not as good as Game of Thrones trying to keep everything in order. I think it's just we write it. It's going to sell merch, and that's where we're at, because that's how it started. They sold merch to make the second movie. That's how it worked. So you're bringing up an interesting point about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, that's where it ran into issues, because when Game of Thrones got away from the source material of the books, that's where it dipped in quality. That's why if you'll see reviews like people pan season 7 and season 8, it's because it got away from the foundation of the source material, and Dave and Dan kind of went rogue a little bit, and people were really upset on the directions that they went. Yeah, so that, to me, with that, it's I feel like on the Star Wars, they need to keep it tighter and just tell a story at a time. And if they can make more spin-off shows to expand on that story, not try to make it better. That's, to me, if you sitting there, because I really feel I'm with you with Mandalorian, where they're forcing. The Mandalorian to me feels very forced. Like with Grogu, I don't like Grogu. You know that. I wish that little thing would have died in the first one.
He's a new character. I think he's been a great.
Is he new? Because we don't know. He might be Yoda's. We don't. Yeah, know.
But like he's a new character that was created.
Oh, okay.
Like a new created character. Yeah, and I like that aspect of the show where it's Mando and Grogu, but they're getting away from that. In season 3, like they're bringing in more of the Mandalorian stuff with Bo-Katan. Then they're trying to tie in the Imperial remnants. I just like it where it's more of just like Grogu and Mando kind of going about the galaxy, doing odd jobs, and just seeing events of the galaxy from their perspective. Whereas you're putting them more at the center stage now of the goings of the galaxy. They're major players now. I like more when they were like doing their own thing.
Right. Yeah, because they're the Han Solo, Chewbacca, Luke of this show.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is they're doing this for a reason. They're going to have a huge tie-in movie that puts all these shows together and ties it up in a bow.
Yeah, with Thrawn from
Thrawn.
Yeah.
Rebels
should have been the original. Which should have been the original sequels.
Right. That would have been. what they're doing now should have been movie style. I really like seeing because I love the cartoon Rebels. So seeing Ezra and Sabine and Ren or Sabine Wren and Hera, seeing these people live action is pretty cool to me. I really enjoy that, and I like the fact that they have Gar, whatever his name is, that famous actor that has played this character in several renditions, voiced it. He's played it in Rogue One. Now he's played it in Andor.
You're talking about Alan Tudyk, K2SO?
No, but that's cool too. But what's his face? The black guy that was in Good Morning Vietnam. I'm terrible with actors' names.
I'm trying to think. What are you talking about?
He's a very bad guy, but does good. He's part of the Rebels. He's in Andor. He's in several different of the cartoons. He's in Rebels. He's in
I can't think. I can't think of who you're talking about.
He gets killed in Rogue One when they blow up not Rogue One.
Oh, Saul Guerrero.
Yeah. Saul Guerrero. I'm sorry.
Forrest Whitaker. Okay.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah. One of the most famous.
Yeah.
There's only like 5 black people in all the shows, and we can't remember the guy's name. That's pretty bad for us. Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, that was
bad. He great actor. Just ageless wonder. He's been around acting now forever, but man, he just nails it.
To see his deterioration over Andor, though, mentally, that was.
And physically, so you see him without the chains and stuff and the air respirator in Andor, but you see why he needs that respirator in Andor because they breathe in that toxics.
Yeah, that rhydum or
So that's
basically getting high.
Yes, as a nerd of the show, like I am and you are, we like to see okay, that's why he's like that. Oh, okay, this makes sense. That's why you were saying before, when you can't tie the stuff in together, us nerds that love, and we're not just there's a large Star Wars fans are crazy, and they need it, and that's one fandom, Star Wars days, and they made up their holiday, May 4th. It is just, when it doesn't work, and they will let people know about it. I just have to remember, and I keep reminding people too, that when Lucas made this was made for kids, basically. It is a space Western. It is, it's getting the good girl, getting the, destroying the bad guys. It's the white hat, black hat. It's just done in outer space. And we have to remember that when we're watching these shows. But what was your point before you?
That's one thing, though, I want to touch on now. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that kind of bothers me with like people who only like the OT, only like the original trilogy, and like they'll just dunk on the prequels, or when the prequels came out, maybe they were like 20 to 30 years old, and they just absolutely dunk on it. Talk about dialogue. The dialogue in the original trilogy is also incredibly clunky as well. I think Harrison Ford famously said, "You can write this stuff, but you can't say it." So, yes, the dialogue in the prequels is very clunky and not as good, but it's also the same for the original trilogy as well. Very, very clunky.
Yeah, and what sold it was it's in space, man. It's a space.
It's the story, it's the characters, the music, the visuals.
Right. And then as we get older, that's without giving your age, what was the first one you saw in a theater?
It actually was A New Hope. The re-release was the special editions before the prequels came out.
Okay, when they brought those out. So that tells me they re-showed them for the prequels. So
there was that period, I think it was 96 96 or 97. It's either one of those years, but they did
30th.
They did the special editions,
30th anniversaries,
and it had it with some people really don't like the special editions because they changed a couple of things. They changed for the better, but a couple of things they definitely changed for the worse. Like they changed Han shooting first.
Well, they've done changed that 3 or 4 times. It's
and
whatever.
they took out Wolfman. They took out Wolfman from the cantina.
Right.
But then they added cool things like you could see the pilots moving before the Death Star battle, before the Battle of Yavin.
Right.
Like they added some cool visuals with there and cleaned that up. So like they do change some things for the better, but they also maybe take away certain things that fans are very passionate about. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, those were the first movies because they were released 3 months back to back. So they released, I think, A New Hope in January or February.
Right.
And 3 months later, they did Empire. Then 3 months later, they did Return of the Jedi. So saw all 3 of those in the theater.
I saw them with the remakes, and as I watched the originals as a kid. It kind of it's like, but it was still Star Wars. For me, didn't really care. And even like the last 3, the sequels. I mean, the last one, I sat there and I was like, this is a hot mess of garbage, but it's still Star Wars. I was like, it's still Star Wars. I still have a movie.
Yeah. And I've seen every Star Wars film in the theater, and like honestly, there's nothing like seeing a Star Wars film in the theater. It's just such a movie-going experience.
Right.
Like people really get into it, audience reactions,
the music. I bought now I have 2 soundtracks right now. I have New Hope, and I bought the Mandalorian Season 2 soundtrack. The soundtracks are awesome. The music, the composers, it's just great music. It's good background music when you're just doing housework and you want to feel special while you're vacuuming.
Yeah. But then the insane hype for Episode 1 from 1999, like I don't think a movie has ever been more hyped than that. And the promotion for that movie,
it was so long in the waiting, man. Like so long, and you knew the whole everybody, the people in the Star Wars world. Even this was before the hype train of On in Line got to be what it is now. Everybody knew that he wrote a series, and this was what he started with. Wasn't the beginning; it was kind of the middle, but he didn't have it thought out as much as he did. But so everybody really, it's kind of like when you're going back to Game of Thrones. Everybody, whenever he comes out with his next book, there's going to be a line wrapped around the world waiting for that book.
Wins the winner. Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to come out.
I think he's done. I think when they made those shows,
he got too much money, and
he's done.
The spark's gone,
right,
so to speak.
He's a weird cat, but anyway,
George R. R. Martin.
But I digress. When it comes to Lucas, I want to touch on this real quick. He was done. He put in a lot of time. He wants to do other things.
I think the fan base though has a lot of culpability of blaming that though.
Right.
Just because of how much garbage and they gave on him. They did a whole documentary, George Lucas versus the fans or something like that.
Yeah.
Like just
he to let the fans dictate what's happening in your mind is ridiculous, because you created this. I want to see what your next creation is going to be on top of that. I want to see the story you want, not the story I want. That's ridiculous. But a lot of fans want it that way. I wish he would have stuck around to write the sequels instead of
he gave him an outline. He gave him an outline,
and we know what happened, especially in the
that right on out.
The 9th one was, we're going to make this as we go along, and my God, it was like 2 kids just making it up with I've seen better at home movies. But anyway, I digress. I don't want to
That's
dog
the one. That's the one silver lining of the sequel trilogy, in my opinion. It's made people go back and appreciate the prequel movies more.
Right.
Because, as I said, it's a more thought out story, and there's through the 3 films, it's cohesive.
Right. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I mean, do you have any last thoughts before we take? And I really appreciate you doing this. Me and you've talked about this for a while. Different things. You might see him come back on in a future talking about something else. Who knows? But any last thoughts before we wrap this up today?
Just I hope we get more shows like Andor. I'm not sure that's going to necessarily happen with some of the news where Disney is really digging their heels into thinking that streaming is not the way to take the franchise. But I hope we do get more shows like Andor, because it was just incredible Star Wars, and it shows that with the right people at the helm, Disney can do really, really good things with the franchise. It's not all bad. They could do really good things. So that, I think the show gives a lot of hope, honestly, to the fan base that they can do things really, really good.
Yeah.
If you have the right people at the helm.
Yeah, I am interested. My last words is, where do they go from here in the stories? I know where the books have gone. I don't know, and I know they were trying to go that route, but I don't know if doing the books first was smart, or just doing a movie or a TV show in that time frame. Man, and if you really want to sell merch, you just make a franchise on the Sith, the beginnings, and it writes itself. Come on. I don't know if it's too easy. I don't know. To steal a line from Mr. Wesker too easy, but it's just, I feel like in our friend King of the Flips. Yeah, the King of the Flips, just too easy. But that's what I'm interested in. I'm really enjoying this Bad Batch. I'm sad that it's the last season, but I really like the fact that they came out with these 2 or 3 season. Don't keep making it just because it's doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't keep for 2 or 3 seasons and get it over with. I thought Obi-Wan was good because of that. Stuff we didn't even touch on here, but I feel like I'm glad they do that. And man, it's been fun to watch these last couple lights. I hope what I've read about the Acolyte is true, because even if I'm the only one watching it, I'll be happy, because I thought that was a very well fleshed out, well told story. I wish they would have talked a little bit more about some of the Jedi that got destroyed early on. Seemed like there was some story there left behind, but maybe they'll do a sequel to that. I don't know. But anyway, thanks again, Wesker Griff.
Yeah, no problem.
Y'all can check him out. I'll leave a link below. He does everything from ball cards to Game of Thrones music. He is a true collector, like myself. So, and I mean, when you collect more than just one thing, you're a true collector. Either that or we're hoarders. I don't know which. But until next time, like, share, tell friends, subscribe if you haven't. And thank you for watching this Nerdy Thursday. See ya.